Hey guys, welcome to 5,000 Miles, where we react to and review our favorite television shows and movies. My name is John. I'm in Philadelphia, but both Brandy and Vince are not with me today. And I'm going to be reviewing a movie with you guys here today by myself. So, from the highly anticipated first written novel, and Francis Lawrence, the director of the Hunger Games franchise, comes The Long Walk. An intense, chilling, emotional thriller that challenges the viewer to contemplate how far could you go. The general premise here being that a group of young men, in some cases disturbingly young men, are participating in an annual event known as The Long Walk, where the group sets out to see who can maintain a pace of 3 miles an hour for the longest in order to win riches that isn't fully told how much they're going to make, but it's riches beyond their wildest dreams, as well as one wish of the winner's choosing. Any wish you could dream up, and they have to grant it to you. And it's a lottery system by which the participants get chosen, and apparently everybody puts in for it. So that's an indication of this like kind of dystopian future that we're seeing, that anybody would want to get into this contest if they could get chosen. Although we don't get a whole lot of other information than that, we know that these people are willing to take their chances here. If you fall behind the pace, you start to get warnings. But if you can't then keep up the pace after 2 or 3 warnings of limited time, you get your ticket punched and you're killed. So there can only be one, just like Highlander, there can only be one winner ultimately here. The movie gets super intense at some parts, and it definitely gets emotional at others. The deaths and some of the practical concerns surrounding a contest like this, such as going to the bathroom, can tend to be somewhat graphic and violent, but overall it all serves the story very, very well, and it's just not hard to get invested in. But it kind of starts off lighthearted in the slightest way when we're first getting introduced to the group of participants, and we start to put ourselves in their shoes and start to think, what would I do? And what would it take to win? Do I think I could win this contest? You can't help but think that as you're looking at these guys in this situation and they're kind of conversing with each other. There's a ton of dialogue and extended scenes of walking where we have a lot of time to get to know the characters and the relationships that are kind of emerging. We get to see what they're choosing to talk about and how they're choosing to behave with each other. Kind of the emerging dynamics amongst the whole group. As the days go on and the time progresses, we get reminders from the movie of exactly how many miles they've gone and how long they've gone. And as they overcome challenges such as weather or changing terrain or the emotional fallout from seeing other participants get killed brutally, we really start to feel for them. They even touch on sleep. Speaking of practical concerns, they touch on that as well. I won't give it away what they do there, but as they overcome these challenges, it just gets harder and harder, and we can see it on their faces, and we're all feeling it inside for sure. The script is really good. The cast is really strong. And honestly, their performances, especially from the main 2 guys, are really good, man. Really memorable stuff. You just can't help but root for certain guys more than others, and for the relationships that they're forming. Cooper Hoffman is the actor that plays the main character here. He's the one that we kind of know the most about his backstory. We know his mom peripherally, and eventually he tells us his motivations for winning, and like what his wish would be, and some of the backstory surrounding why he wants to be in the contest. And when we get that information, it really thickens out the story and makes you feel for him even more. He befriends David Johnson, or they kind of befriend each other, and he's kind of the star of this movie, in my opinion. Plays possibly the most sympathetic role in the film. He really shines in this movie. His performance is absolutely fantastic. Amongst other really good performances, I think he shines the brightest here. Just his take on life. You almost feel proud of him at certain points for like his optimism and his perspective and his heart and his humanity. It's just, he's really fantastic in this movie, honestly. There are some really beautiful moments between these characters at different points, and it's actually kind of fun to get to know them in a weird way, even though we know that all but one of them are gonna die. But the thing is, we don't know exactly what's gonna take them out or when, and I found myself kind of waiting to see how the different characters, especially the ones that I liked a little more, were gonna embrace the moment or cower from the moment. That sort of became like the thing that I was most invested in, is like exactly seeing what that moment was going to be like for all of these characters, because there's far more than one likable character and you know they're going to die, so it's like you just want to see how they're going to go out, and if you're like proud of them or if you're devastated by it, it's just like where you find yourself like on the edge of your seat waiting for these moments to come as the walk goes on and on. You definitely end up feeling for just about every character in one way or another. And honestly, I was brought to tears on several occasions in the film. And I love when a movie takes me there. It's just a testament to the execution, the direction, the performances, and of course, Stephen King's. You know, he's second to none. So no big surprise there that the script was so strong. Like I said, the vast majority of the movie is just them walking, and we're experiencing this whole ordeal with them and just watching how they're choosing to behave in what's very likely to be the final hours of their life, certainly the last days and hours of their lives. It begs the question, really, what would you do in that situation? Would you choose to be kind? Would you be cruel? Would you admit things? What would it really bring you to find yourself in a scenario like that? That's what I found so cool and unique about the film. So the tension just builds and builds and builds as they're being escorted by like a military convoy that's got like bullhorns to give them warnings, and it's just kind of cruising along with them, keeping them up to pace, essentially executing people as they go. And that brings us kind of to like the main villain who's part of that military convoy. He's known as the Major, played by Mark Hamill. And man, he brings a pretty epic kind of memorable performance as well. He really just embodies the role, and he kind of follows them along, and he's screaming at them like motivational stuff and saying like, hey, anybody can win, do this, do that, because according to him, and the kind of the purpose of the long walk is that it serves as an example to the rest of a lazy society what true perseverance, hard work, and sacrifice really looks like. That's kind of the brush that they paint the long walk with. You participate in this and you win, and you set an example for the rest of humanity of how we need to be living our lives. But that is kind of what the Major is getting at when he's yelling at them, and what he says to them like in the initial speech before they start. And he's such a monster that it kind of reminds me of the character, if you've ever seen Cool Hand Luke, like Boss Godfrey from Cool Hand Luke, like the bad guy at the prison who's always hiding behind those glasses. This Major kind of like reminds me of that, because you never see his eyes the whole movie. He's just this embodiment of evil and privilege and kind of like systemic inequity. And all of his words and his persona and behavior, it rings pretty hollow to the participants as time goes on. They're more or less disgusted with him, as they should be. But Mark Hamill does a great job with the character. He seems to relish his role as the Major. And as an audience member, we're pretty disgusted with him. Across the board, the characters are great. The movie's shot really well. The pacing is really good. And they maneuver between, violence and story building very well. You never get bored at any point. You're just pretty captivated the whole time. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there was one particular sequence or thing that happened or moment, however you want to phrase it, that made the fucking movie for me. Where I was just like, okay, this is good. This is really goddamn good. This one particular thing that happened, and I don't know if I would have felt the same way about the movie without that, but it's got it. And so it really is a really, would I go so far as to call it a great movie? It certainly borders on being a great movie. I'd like to see it again. Now, it's not entirely without its flaws. I could have used a little bit more backstory in terms of the society and understand what, like, why and some shit like that they don't give us. It was not entirely necessary. And the ending is somewhat open to interpretation. But to me, it was really good and really interesting and definitely would spark a very serious conversation. You'd be hard-pressed to watch the movie, experience the movie with someone else, and not get into a hell of a conversation afterwards. So yeah, it is not a feel-good movie. You really got to buckle up for a good bit of emotional turmoil. But it's a movie you should definitely check out. And if you have the time and the dough, go check it out on the big screen. It does play pretty well on the big screen. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I don't want to give anything away. Anybody who goes out there and checks it out, let me know what you thought of it. And anybody who had already seen the movie and was just checking out reviews, let me know what you agreed with that I said and maybe what your takeaways were from the film. So thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. See you on the next one.